Hello, this is Mary Bush with Stampin' in the Sand, coming to you from a very hot and humid South Carolina. It is currently Sunday, July 20th. Yep, Sunday, July 20th. And I am pre-recording this video because it's been such a long time since I've made a video that I want to make sure that everything goes okay before I go live again. And I wanted to share with you a couple of cards that I recently created, diving deep into my stash of retired product. I know if any of you watching me right now are current Stampin' Up! Demonstrators, you are gasping at the fact that I am using retired product in my card projects today. However, I don't know if there are customers out there and fellow crafters that are feeling a little overwhelmed right now by all of the product that they have in their stash. I know if you've followed me for any length of time, you will be aware that I have quite a huge collection of stamps, ink, and paper. And it can get overwhelming at times to look around and see how much you have. And it can actually get to the point where you look around, you see how much you have, you're so overwhelmed that you don't even know where to start, and you end up just throwing up your arms in disgust and walking out and creating nothing. So I thought that I would start a new series that is based on bashing your stash or creating with your clutter, or however you want to name it. And to that note, I'm actually looking for some ideas of what to call this video series. Do you think Bash Your Stash is too violent of a name, so to speak, for something like this? I would love to hear your thoughts on a creative, a little creative description on describing, yeah, that's redundant, to describe a video series based purely on using what's in your collection, what's in your stash, without having to purchase any new materials outside of your consumables, such as your basic cardstock, maybe some basic white or very vanilla cardstock, maybe some colors you're running low on, and your adhesives of choice, whether it be your green glue or your Seal Plus or your seal or glue dots, whatever. Raise your hand if you have a huge collection of stamps, ink, and paper, and you would like to utilize more of what you have and not have to feel like you have to order everything that's new and exciting that's out there, because maybe you already have something in your collection that's similar. Okay, so collective gasp from everyone that can't believe that this is going to be a video about using what you have in a creative way instead of trying to get you to order something new. Okay, so back to my cards. These cards actually came about because I saw a sketch or a layout of a card, and I wanted to recreate it, but I did not own the stamps and paper that the creator used in their card. So it got me to thinking about, what do I have that I could use to duplicate, so to speak, their creation, but using what I had on hand. And it was a layout such as this, using the squares in what I'm calling like a quilt square layout. I don't know what else to call it. And they had flowers and things of that nature on their card. And it was a totally different card. I mean, if you saw their card and my card next to each other, you would say, how did you even get inspired to make this card from that card? But that's where creativity blossoms, right? Thinking outside the box. What do I have that I can use to create something similar? So what I did is I grabbed this really old paper, and excuse any glare from the plastic that's on this paper pack. Let me pull some of these scrappy pieces out of here so I can flip it over. So if you've been with Stampin' Up! For a while, this paper pack was called Spice Cake. I do not even remember what year it was, it came out in, which catalog. And it featured paisleys and some little florals. And I really loved this paper, and I wish that I had more of it, but unfortunately this is all I have. And I know there's a punch or 2 punches that coordinate with this design right here that you could punch out this, I'll call it a spiky flower, and then the roundy flower on the outside. I think there was a punch that went with that as well. And I loved this paper. I'm not so much into paisleys, but I did love the rest of the papers. And if you remember, we actually had a paisley bundle once upon a time. And one of these days I need to grab it and see if it would coordinate with some of these paisley images in this paper. But squirrel moment, let's get back on topic. So what I did to create my card is I selected 3 different papers that I thought would coordinate well together in this format. So I chose this paper right here, and I chose, let's see, not that one. That's the same one. Let's see. Okay, this one and this one. So these are exactly the same print in just a different color configuration. And then I chose, where's the other one? I'm sorry, while I'm flipping, I know I could have had them pulled out prior to the video, but I didn't. And then I chose this one. So I thought these 3 would play well together because they all have the same color configuration, color coordination. And I cut each one of these papers, I cut into 3x3 pieces. And then from that 3x3, I cut it into 1x1 pieces. So that's how I got my squares. So once I had all of my squares, and I'm just gonna put this aside. Once I had all of my squares cut, I laid them out into 3 different card front layers in a pattern that I liked, that looked like it was appealing to the eye. And from there, I sponged each one of the squares, and I'm going to bring in the card that we're going to create today so you can see how all of this lays out. I took each one of the little squares and I got my little sponge dauber and I sponged each of the little squares around the edges just to kind of blend them all a little bit more together cohesively and to get rid of the sharp white edges. Because our designer series papers, they tend to have a white core, and I wanted to get rid of that so it wasn't such a stark contrast against the square that they're being laid out on. So back to the designer series paper. And I wish I had pulled my chart over here. I think I know where it is. Hold on for 2 seconds and just take a look at that for a minute. I'm just going to run over here and get what I should have had to begin with. Okay. So if you're a follower and a customer or a demonstrator for Stampin' Up, you know that our designer series paper packs, they now come with the backing that comes in the paper pack. It will have all the colors that you can find in the paper printed on the insert that comes with the card, with the designer series paper. So back in this day, they did not do that. So you would have to go to the website or to the catalog and get the coordinating papers and either write it on the insert yourself or print it out on paper. So Spice Cake back in the day, and I don't even see like a copyright date on this that would tell me what year. It's got to be back in the early 2000s. Anyways, the coordinating colors were soft suede, more mustard, pool party, pear pizzazz, river rock, and very vanilla. So isn't that a throwback? Just thinking about these colors, that takes us way back, doesn't it? More mustard, that's a very, very old color. So from there, I was able to pull out my cardstocks in each of these colors and then come up with a nice color palette for the base of my card. So that being said, my card base is soft suede. And again, this is a retired color, but keep in mind that this card design that I'm going to show you today, you can easily recreate with any cardstock, die cuts, and designer series paper you have in your stash, or any of our currently available cardstock, designer series paper, and die cuts that are, as I said, currently available in our online store. I'm just doing this card as a way to use my stash and show you how you can use your stash, or if you're new or you're looking to create with newer product, you can do that easily as well. So I have a card base here of soft suede. It's a 5x5 card. So it's a 5-inch by 10-inch piece of cardstock that I've scored at 5 inches. From there, I have my 1-inch squares that again, I sponged, and I've laid those out the way that I'm gonna want to adhere them. And I'm going to adhere those. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to push these off so that they're laid out the way that I want them to be adhered. Excuse me, I'm getting a frog. And this piece of cardstock is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 square. And then I'm going to mount that on a piece of more mustard that is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. And you can use your adhesive of choice. I'm going to use my Seal Plus for this. And I'm just going to adhere that onto my more mustard. And this is a piece of soft suede. So our layering will be soft suede, more mustard, soft suede. And then I'm just going to get my glue. And I'm going to use the glue to adhere my squares simply because I'm going to need, and it's probably clogged. Does not always happen. You have a clump in there right when you're trying to do a video and not have it last forever. I want to use the glue because I want wiggle room so I can make sure that I get all of my layers straight. And we're going to be covering a fair amount of this with our flowers and die cuts, but you still want to get it as squared up as you can. There's a lot of squares going on in this, isn't there? All right, so start with that row and then go to the next row. So again, I would love to hear some ideas for what we can call this video series. And see, this is why I needed to use the glue, because I need, oops, well, how do you like that? I just made a mess of that, didn't I? Well, that's all right, because I can cover it up with, I can actually rotate this, and this goopy part that I just really massacred can be the bottom that I'm gonna cover up with my flowers. Believe it or not, it's very challenging to try to do something like this on a video, because you can't get your head in the, which way am I going now? Going this way. You can't get your head, you don't want your head in the video. So you're trying to sit back and do all this away from the camera. And it's not as easy as it looks. But that's all right. I'm sure you can all forgive me, right? So, if you are still with me and I haven't bored you to tears yet, what papers do you have in your collection that you think would look really great with this layout? I would love to hear. So be sure to comment, whether you're watching this on YouTube or watching this on my Facebook page, or if you came over from Pinterest. I would absolutely love to hear from you, your thoughts. And if you create a card similar to this based upon this video and you share it on socials, I would love if you tagged me in it so I could see it. You could just tag me just by using Stampin' in the Sand. All right, we're almost done with this part. I know this is the tedious part. And I tried to do as much of the tedious stuff as I could prior to recording. All right, well, it's probably not perfect because I'm trying to do it without getting my face in the camera, but you get the general idea. So, because this card has a lot of depth and dimension going on the front, I'm choosing to just adhere this flat onto the card base. If you wanted to give it even more dimension because you were gifting it to someone and not mailing it, you could add Stampin' Dimensionals to the back of this panel and lift it up a little bit. So this is the corner that's not so good that I want to hide. And I am standing up for this because I want to try to get it somewhat square. And I can already see this down here is a little crooked. But we can cover that with a flower too if we need to. All right, so going back to using my stash, I have die cut some flowers and some leafy sprigs, and I've called up my pierced blooms dies for the flowers, and I've used the meadow dies for the little tag. I also used the meadow dies, I think it was this one, for these two cards, for the pieces back here. And today I'm using the Forever Flourishing dies, and I'm using this big large piece here. I've also die cut a couple of these little stems here and this here, just to have some additional options for when I'm doing my layering. And I've cut those out in the colors that coordinated with the designer series paper. So again, we had the soft suede, so that's our card base, and I've die cut the leaves with the from the soft suede. We had the more mustard, which is our square layer here, And I used the more mustard cardstock for my leafy sprigs, and I don't even know what this is. If you know what this is, let me know. I don't know what it is, but I cut it with more mustard. And then Pool Party is another coordinating color that's in the cardstock. But if you can see, I mean in the designer series paper, but if you can see, it's just a little tiny bit in these two patterns. But I'm going to really bring that out of the designer series paper by using it for my flowers. Then this little tag, this was again cut from the Meadow dies, and the little tiny thanks for the tag, I actually used the thanks from At Home With You, which is another old retired stamp set. And let's see, I think, oh, the For You that I used on my sunflower card, that was from this stamp set as well. Because I thought I just was looking for something really little that would fit inside this teeny tiny tag. And I stamped the greetings in the soft suede as well. So this looks pretty crooked. So I'm probably going to have to change my layout just a bit. So I'm gonna start with my large leafy sprig, and I'm going to use just a little bit of glue. I could also use the glue dots for this, and maybe in the end I'm gonna wish I did, but for the sake of time, I'm going to just use glue. And I'm gonna lay this down just off the corner to so I can start building my flowers. Then for my flowers, I'm going to curl the edges to give them just a little bit more dimension and lift. So I'm just gonna take my bone folder, and I don't know that I'm gonna use all of these flowers that I've cut, but I'm going to just go ahead and curl the petals on all of them anyway. That way at least they'll just be done ahead of time. And I'm gonna take my leaves and I'm going to curl those a little bit as well. I just think it looks prettier, even though if you mail it, you may prefer to have it flat, or it might get flattened in the mail anyway. But for the sake of creativity, I'm going to curl them ahead of time. Okay, so now I need to start assembling my flowers. And I've got these cute little middles. And I've die cut these from Very Vanilla because the background of the designer series paper is Very Vanilla. So I'm just gonna layer these. Oh my gosh, this glue, I'm telling you. If you squeeze too hard, you get a big clump of glue, and I don't want that. You don't squeeze it hard enough and you get nothing. All right, so that I think looks good there. And then this little flower here has a pierced center. So I'm actually going to use my glue dots, because if I use liquid glue, they're going to, whoops, I dropped it. It's going to ooze through the holes, and then it's going to be a sticky mess. And I don't want that either. Oops, and I just put the glue dot on. Okay, pay attention, Mary. I just put the glue dot on the front of the flower. How intelligent is that? And I can't get it all off. There we go. Okay, well, I got it off without ruining the flower. How do you like that? All right, so there's that. And I think I'm gonna put one there. And I think I'll use this one. And put that there. And then I think I used dimensionals. Yep, I used dimensionals on the flowers. we can add our dimensionals to the backs of the flowers. And I need to leave room for my bow also. I think I'll do that way. Just make sure that I'm in the video view, and I am, so we're good. And I think I'm gonna do a mini dimensional on this flower, because when I add my leaves, I think I'm gonna go that way. And then, let's see. I wonder. I don't really want to do, I don't know if that's going to look right down there. I'm trying to hide the fact that this is crooked. Don't know. We'll just leave it there for now. What do you think? Does that look stupid there? I don't know. It might look stupid there, but I really wanted to hide that it was crooked. What do they say? There's no oops in card making, only opportunities for further embellishment, something like that, or for further creativity. So I'm using glue dots to add these leaves. And if I think that they need more later, I can always add an extra dimensional or something underneath. And I'm just layering them in a manner that kind of looks appealing. I don't know if that looks too busy. Well, I'm gonna add it anyway, because I feel like it needs a little something, but I don't know what. And this is different for me too, because usually when I would do videos, I would be copying exactly a card that I'd already made. And this time I'm not doing that. Let's see. I can feel that there's a little bit of glue dot hiding. Okay, what do you think? One more leaf? Maybe down here? Nope, that's where the bow's going. Maybe it doesn't need another leaf. Nope, I don't think it even needs another leaf. Do you? I don't know. I think it looks okay. All right, so next I'm going to add a bow. And believe it or not, way back in my stash, I have some more mustard ribbon. Does anyone remember this grosgrain ribbon? It was available in like every single color almost every single color that they had at the time. So I do have more mustard coordinating ribbon, and I've already tied my bow because there's no way I'm going to try to tie a bow in the first video that I've done in a long time. So I'm going to take my bow, and I think I'm just going to tuck it up under this flower a little bit. Let's see. Where do you think we would like to have this bow? About like that. And then I can just fluff it around a little bit. That's not too bad. And then last but not least, we're going to add our little tag. If I can find where it ended up. There it is. And I'm just going to do that with a glue dot, which is now stuck to my finger. maybe another glue dot. Okay, so take our little thanks, and I'm just gonna tuck that up under the tag. I mean, under the ribbon, which is stuck down with so many glue dots. I can't get in there. All right, hold please. Let's get this up. I just want it tucked just under that ribbon enough so that it looks like it's attached to the ribbon. And this is gonna fight me, I can tell. There. All right, so there it is. What do you think? Does it need anything else? Any other embellishments? I don't know. You can tell me what you think. So here's our 3 cards. On this card, you will notice that I did have to change the size of the more mustard matte underneath the square layer because this sunflower was so large that when I tried to lay it out on this size of a mat, it just overpowered it. So I cut the top layer of the sunflower with the more mustard. This layer behind here is So Saffron. So to tie that all in together, I put another thin layer of So Saffron behind the soft suede layer. So it's soft suede, So Saffron, more mustard, and then the soft suede again. So I thought that it needed a bigger mat because it was such a larger image. So there you go. I hope you appreciate learning a little bit more about how you can use your stash to create new cards, new card designs. And if you have enjoyed this video at all and my ramblings, I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up or give me a like on Facebook. Comment if you would like to see more of these bash your stash types of videos. And if you have an idea for a tag name for it other than bash your stash, because that sounds a little violent, but I'm looking for some creative ideas for a name. And that's if you are even interested in this type of video series. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for stopping by and checking out this video. I hope you've enjoyed the projects. I hope I didn't bore you too much or ramble on too long. And I hope to see you again, either here on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel, wherever you are catching me from today. Thanks a lot, everyone, and happy stamping. Bye-bye.